Communications, and today we're going to do a demo of SD-WAN solutions. The SD-WAN solution we have installed right now is from CPI, and it includes 2 internet connections and a ShoreTel phone on a local switch and a ShoreTel phone on a remote switch. What you'll have here is 2 phones with calls pinned up on them. I have a home phone and a cell phone that have pinned calls up to those phones, and a short gear switch. Now the larger ShoreTel phone is attached to the local switch, and the small one is attached to the remote switch. And I'll show you that I have a call pinned up to them. Test. Test. And that audio path is actually represented here on the live monitor. You can see that there are calls going on. There's both signaling traffic and media traffic. Now as I unplug the Mediacom connection, the one on the right, you will see live the calls transition to the circuit on the left, the Verizon wireless circuit. So I'm going to disconnect my Mediacom circuit. And if you watch live, it takes a second or two for it to catch up, but you will see right there the calls popping up on the left and dropping off on the right. Those are 2 completely different IP addresses, 2 completely different internet connections, and both calls stayed up. Test. Test. And in a second, we'll actually see what the quality of those calls are. But now the interesting part, and I'm going to transition back, let me plug that back in, but explain what we're trying to prove. A short gear switch is a very difficult thing to keep up over the internet. And the reason is, any packet loss at all in that short gear switch will experience TMS, or telephony management service, interruption, which causes a reset, which causes a flood of data, and causes the synchronization of the phones that are locally attached to it to reset. If that phone is a contact center phone, that phone is then forced into unavailable state. So a common complaint for our customers who have unstable wide area networks or single connection or try to use the internet is the lack of that phone's stability or tolerance to packet loss because of the local switch and the reset. So in this case, I just moved it back, or I will move it back to the Mediacom connection by taking it off of the wireless, and the calls are actually going to move over to the Mediacom connection now. And the Mediacom connection has a big amount of data as that box reset, but those calls are live on the Mediacom connection now. And let me show you. Test. Test. So that's the audio path for both of those. And let's look at the quality of experience that the user, this would be similar to a MOS score, had. Keeping in mind that I transitioned back and forth, it takes a second for that to refresh as well, those statistics, back and forth between those 2 different connections. And you can see that the quality of experience was a 10 while I had 2 outages. I had an outage in the Mediacom, and the Verizon one will come over in a little bit. You can see the Mediacom failure. We've been playing with it, so there's a lot of ups and downs there, but in just a little bit that'll refresh, and the Verizon will have reds too. But you can see here that during a period of packet loss, because it was completely down, we still experienced a green and a 10 because we were being carried by the Verizon connection. So both of those are being used concurrently. Let me show you from a ShoreTel perspective. The ShoreTel perspective, let me terminate both of these calls now so that they show up in the event viewer with call quality, but I can look at the alerts in the ShoreTel and refresh, and you can see there was no TMS disconnects. These are from the 27th today, earlier when we were playing and shut everything down, but we have not had a TMS failure. We have not had any events in the event log to indicate any problems. You can see over here on the right the descriptions and the errors and the information. And in just a second, we'll actually have those calls show up in our call quality. It takes a minute or 2 for them to show up in here as well, but they will be green. There was no packet loss. So no failure, no TMS, no bad quality, a perfect 10 from a MOS scoring, and a transition live to, let me go back to that screen, transition live between 2 different internet connections, causing a failure on one and then restoring it and causing a failure on the other while maintaining 100% call quality and no TMS disconnect. Give it just a second to refresh, and You'll see the connections and the restore is back on this one now. And I've left the Verizon wireless down, it's unplugged. So that's our proof of concept. You can see the Verizon's still down, which is why it's not up. Oh, by the way, I'm sure I'm getting emails telling me that I have link failures. As you can see, I get emails letting me know that I have link failures. And they come in a minute or two behind, but I'm getting emails telling me of link failures and restorations. So I think we proved it. I think we have a switch maintaining connectivity to a remote site over the internet, over 2 circuits that we failed back and forth between the two. And the phones, the quality, and the switch show no problems. Thank you.